Yes guys, what is up? Welcome back to a brand new video here today and some more F1 2020 driver career mode. Today we are here for round 8 of the season for the Austrian Grand Prix, and this of course marks the halfway point of the season because we are doing a 16 race season 1 calendar. So we are running a slightly shorter one, therefore this is pretty much halfway already and it's only Austria, so it's pretty mad. Either way guys, really quickly, if you guys missed the last episode at France, I'll leave it linked up in the top right hand corner of your screen guys, so if you want to go check that out before we jump into any potential spoilers in this video, then now's your chance to do so. And one last plug guys, in this video we're going to be in the transfer window, so keep your eyes peeled because there could be some shuffles in the driver market. And also guys, one last thing, if you are new to the channel, I'm so close now to 50k subs, so if you are new to the channel guys, hit that red subscribe button, it would massively help me out guys. And with that said, let's get this episode underway. So as you can see this weekend, looking at the laptop, we do have a nice dry sunny weekend, no rain expected, and it's going to be relatively straightforward on that front. We then move into the R&D because this weekend we do have some minor upgrades and we are still currently in 5th place just behind Racing Point, and we're closing that gap and getting closer and closer to them, and we're almost the 4th quickest team. And to be fair, we might achieve that in the next couple of races because in the pipeline we've actually got 2 upgrades on the way, one for the chassis and one for the engine. So if those arrive, we may well just overtake Racing Point, and we could potentially throw on more upgrades in this episode. But like I said, stay tuned to the end guys because we've got some driver market action at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. There is Alex Albon, and of course rumours that potentially he could drop back down to AlphaTauri. The question is, will it be for me or Pierre Gasly, who moved up to Red Bull? We'll find out later on. Or will the lineup remain unchanged? We'll find out later on. Either way, we went through practice and it went very smoothly indeed. We scored actually a really good amount of points, nearly 800 points we scored between myself and Pierre Gasly. And in terms of acclaim, we're still pretty much halfway through level 7 on our way to level 8. Also, before qualifying, I actually ran some slightly newer components that were a bit fresher than what I was using, but there could be an engine penalty around the corner, maybe even the next race at Silverstone, my home Grand Prix, unfortunately. But it is what it is. The Honda power unit isn't the most reliable, so we've got to deal with the consequences. Either way, with that said, we're now going to move into qualifying here at Austria, and as you can see, we are getting ready for the start of the session as we jump into Q1. And this was my first time lap in the session, and we're going to see where this lap puts us in amongst the shuffle because the midfield is very competitive this season and it's going to be tight. So let's see as we cross the line. We're in at 3.7, we go P5, so behind Gasly actually by a 10th, and splitting the McLarens. Then later on we got pushed down to P11, and luckily for us I was on an improved lap. You can see here we're about 2/10 up, and Gasly's still in P9. We're going to run up to the line and set a 1 minute 3.4 and move it up into the top 9, overtaking Pierre Gasly there, and that lap was actually more than good enough, and we actually got to Q2 quite comfortably. And not just me, Pierre Gasly as well, both cars in the top 10, so the pace looking good, the upgrades working well, and yeah, overall a very good session with a 1 minute 3.4, just below a 0.5 there was the lap to get us through. We then moved into Q2 though, and this was my best lap of Q2, and it was actually my first one. So let's run on board for a full lap of Austria. So I'm going to commentate this one. So here we go along the pit straight, making our way up towards turn number 1, down to 4th gear, braking just after the 100 meter board. Use a lot of the inside and outside curbs, then open up the DRS. Important around this track to get traction out of every single traction zone. It's really key as we now make our way up towards turn number 3, down to 2nd gear, then quickly back up to 3rd to maximize the traction and the drive out of the corner, opening up the DRS here on the exit. And we're going to see how this goes as we now go down towards turn number 4. You want to look at the 100 meter board, brake bang on the 100, then down to 3rd gear. I actually missed my apex. Normally you want to try and clip the inside curb for a bit of extra rotation as we now make our way downhill through turn 5 into turn 6. Holding it in 5th gear, clipping the inside curb, letting the car run wide on the exit, opening up turn 7 as much as possible, then flat out through 8, which is this little right hand kink, and now a little squirt on the throttle as we now make our way down towards turn 9 and 10. First of all, turn 9 in 7th gear, then down to 6th, quickly back up to 7th, and then the final corner in 5th gear. Don't run too wide there, keep it within track limits as we now open DRS and cross the line and set a 1 minute 3.3, which was actually a 10th and a half quicker than our Q1 lap. So a really strong lap in Q2. We go P6, and that lap was actually enough to go through. I didn't have to go out again because I had a pretty good cushion, and unfortunately Pierre Gasly got knocked out in 11th place, but we are through into Q3 with just one lap, so we have managed to save a set of tyres for the race if necessary, which is great news for us. And with that said, we now move into Q3, and in this session, of course, we had 2 runs, but my best one was the first one. So this time I'm going to let you guys watch the lap, and this one is uncommentated, and I've got to say, it was a brilliant lap. Here we go through the final corner, power down, opening up the DRS. What a lap this has been. We crossed the line at 1:03.2, a tenth quicker than our Q2 lap, and it was pretty much perfect. I've got to say, there was no time to find there. I tried to go one more time in Q3, and you'll see here now on the exit turn 1, I just lost the back end a little bit and lost about half a tenth to 3/4 of a tenth. And I was never able to get that lap time back, unfortunately. We pretty much just stuck with that delta all the way through. So in the end, it's going to be P8 for us in qualifying here at the Red Bull Ring. Maybe we could have got P7 at an absolute perfect lap with 0 mistakes whatsoever, but generally, considering the Honda engine, we maximised that session quite well, so no complaints on my end. Bottas picking up the pole position by 2 tenths quite comfortably actually over Vettel, and Lewis Hamilton only P4, half a second off his teammate, so quite a surprising one there. Either way, that is it for qualifying. Albon there P6 in the second Red Bull, and he was 6 tenths slower than Max Verstappen, so Albon slightly disappointing to say he's driving in a Red Bull. Either way guys, that is it for qualifying 3. We're now going to move into an interview.
Are you happy with where you'll be on the grid tomorrow?
I'm very happy. The car was brilliant, and it gives us a great chance of scoring some really big points tomorrow, so I can't complain. It's been a great session.
How do you feel the competition is for you this season?
I think it's great, to be fair. I think there's a lot of good drives from a lot of drivers. I think everyone's driving at a high level.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And with that said, qualifying is now in the books. You can see on the rivalry breakdown, we outscored Kimi Raikkonen as well for good measure. And with pretty much this race and one more to go, we are looking very good to win this rivalry and hopefully wrap it up this weekend. And there we go, the acclaim also taking a small boost, and we're now pretty close to level 8. So there it is, qualifying is now done guys. We're now going to move into a critical race where that could dictate how the transfer window goes. So it's important for us to perform well. So without further ado, let's get into the race here for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of Turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we start by talking about Valtteri Bottas? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Albon. Perez, Martinez, Stroll, and Lando Norris. Gasly, Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, and Ocon. Magnussen, Giovinazzi, Roman Grosjean, and Kimi Raikkonen. Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
This is it then, it's time for the race here at Austria, and like I mentioned, it's critical for the contract window that we put in a good performance to kind of solidify the fact that we want to put ourselves into that shop window to see if other teams fancy a go at us. Either way, looking at the strategy this weekend, you can see we're going to go for the softer hard compound tyre strategy. That's what the team recommends, and also in terms of fuel, 1.3 laps extra. So no rain expected, it's going to be straightforward. Let's jump into it. So here we go then for the start of the race. The lights are coming on here at the Red Bull Ring. The lights are on and it's going to be lights out and away we go. And look at this, a good start off the line. Albon getting a pretty slow one actually. Perez getting off pretty well. He's going to go around the outside and overtake Alex Albon here as we take it very cautiously into turn 1, trying to avoid contact and just trying to keep our nose clean. Currently still in 8th place. Perez though challenging Hamilton there for P6 and P5. Really good start from Sergio in the racing point. We're going to go down the inside of Alex Albon here into turn 3. He left the door wide open and we're going to take it and we move up into P7. And Albon, to be fair, trying to re-challenge there, but he slots in just behind us. Meanwhile, Perez has got ahead of Hamilton, but now Hamilton re-challenging. Meanwhile, Albon actually not able to quite get back down the inside on the brake, so he has to sit behind us and watch as, look at that, Perez now giving up to Hamilton, and we're going to slot in there. And in the end, we've gained the place off the start, so really, really good start from us, and a perfect scenario really for the start of the Grand Prix. So we're now going to see how the race shuffles on as we go on to lap 2. We're stuck in behind Perez, and to be fair, I feel like I've got some better pace than him, and especially early on I think I can definitely challenge. And out of turn 3 we actually get a really nice bit of traction here, and I'm going to try and have a look here on the Mexican. We're using the overtake mode, but eventually I realized I wasn't quite close enough, so I just had to back off and let him have that one, and we'll try and come back at him hopefully later on. So we're looking racy here early on in this race, and I definitely feel like I've got the edge on Sergio, and the car is working very well indeed. So I'm looking forward to see how this one pans out. And you can see a couple of personal best sectors, of course, on lap 2. Albon also behind us. He's looking a bit racy here. And to be fair, out of nowhere now, out of turn 6, he's going to go down the inside and make a move into turn number 9. And he just got such a good run through that entire section, completely caught me off guard. And he makes the move up into P7, and we lose out to Albon there. So a nice move from him as DRS is now enabled. And I wasn't really paying attention. I was more focused on Perez, and Albon just caught me out there. Either way, we now have DRS, and of course, this is going to become a bit of a DRS battle here. And I want to try and re-challenge Albon. So we're using a bit of the rich mix, and we was using a bit of overtake at first, but I'm going to be cautious and patient here. Down towards turn 3, we're going to try and set up the switchback, as I know I'm pretty good on traction out there. You see Alex getting a bit loose on the traction, and look at this, we're using the toe from Perez to try and get alongside Alex Albon. We're going to go a bit later on the brakes, and we run it in a bit too hot. Luckily, we just about get the car slowed down. We don't hit Sergio Perez, and luckily we get through and reclaim P7. And on the next lap now, this time we are going to challenge Perez here. I had a little look into turn 3. Perez though moving a bit late in the brake zone, but we open up the line and look at the traction here. Once again, exact same move as last time, using the rich mix, the overtake and the DRS, and we're going to blast past and make the move on Sergio up into P6. And there we go, finally we get the move we're looking for and we're ahead of him. So P6 now in this Austrian Grand Prix on lap 4, and it's been a really strong start from us. We now move on to the start of lap 6. We set a new personal best. Also worth noting, Albon also overtook Perez. So pretty much now it's going to be me versus Albon, and this is going to be a big Red Bull family rivalry. So you can see another personal best now on the lap 7, and I definitely had that pace. I knew I was being held up by Perez, and eventually we was able to kind of break free and pick up the pace. You can see behind us actually Perez has dropped back. I think he may have stopped, I'm not sure, but Stroll now is in 8th place. So Perez was struggling, and to be fair, in that corner there, Albon had a bit of a cheeky look into turn 1. He tried it and had to correct himself. He lost a chunk of time as a direct consequence of that. But moving on to lap 12, this time Alex was actually putting some serious pressure on here, and he actually gets a bit of a run here. I didn't think he would commit to it, but he did in the end. Down the inside goes Alex into turn 3, but he's taking a very shallow and compromised line, and we get the textbook switchback once again out of there, getting the traction down. It's a good old-fashioned wheel-to-wheel drag race here down towards turn number 4. Once again down the inside, we're better on the brakes, and we pick up the inside line and take back P6. So we managed to hold on for now as we now skip onto the very next lap, end of lap 13, and this is our scheduled pit stop lap. So we are going to box in here, and we've done a great job. We've kept Albon behind. We've extended our gap to Stroll to about 4.1 seconds. So we've pretty much made this all about me versus Albon for P6 in this Grand Prix. We're absolutely pushing here on the pit exit onto the grass and everything. And here we go then into the pit lane. We now need a good stop because the pit stops have not been great this season. So let's see if they've improved a little bit. It looks a bit better, 2.8. It's slightly better, not ideal though, so we need to improve on that front. Either way, we're now down to P15 on the hard compound tyres, and we're going to rejoin the racetrack on lap 14. Now, in hindsight should I say, I wish I'd actually gone for the medium because I think I could have made it work. I stuck to the original race strategy, which was the hard tyres to play it safe. As you'll see now, we've got Kevin Magnussen, Perez, a few other cars in the pit lane here, so we're going to move back up to P13. So Perez has definitely lost a lot of time in that sequence. But yeah, like I said, I think I wish I'd gone on the mediums. When I saw Perez on the medium tyre, it kind of made me realise, I might have got this one wrong. And more cars leaving the pit exit here. We now move up to P7, but everyone had gone for the mediums, and then it really started to hit me that, yeah, I've made a mistake here. You can see now on lap 17, Ocon was the last car to pit. We've got Albon behind us again, but he's on the mediums, and he's so much quicker than me, and everyone around us is on mediums. So a bit of a mistake on the strategy, and that is going to affect us because now on lap 19, Alex Albon is all over the back of us here. Here we go then on lap 19. Here comes Alex. He's going to try and get the run into turn 1. Again, I didn't think he'd quite commit to it, but he does. He goes down the inside and makes it work, and I couldn't do much about it, unfortunately. He was a lot quicker than me, and I tried my best to keep up here, and I could have maybe re-challenged, but being realistic, it was just a bit pointless because he was so much quicker than me, and I would have lost eventually because I would have run out of ERS and fuel trying to defend. So I tried it again out of turn number 3. I thought maybe I'd have a chance into turn 4, but I just didn't fancy it, to be honest. It wasn't my battle to win, so we'll let Alex have it for this one. I got the strategy wrong, and that's kind of where I lost the race, really. But first of all, a bit of team radio here.
Okay, we have an issue with the control electronics box. That's going to do additional damage to all other power unit components.
Now that was pretty interesting because I started the race with, I believe, about 60% wear on the control electronics, and during the race it went all the way up to about 75 or 76% after 22 laps, and that was pretty damn scary as we lose Latifi from the race. And we're just going to get a quick replay here to see what happened to him, and on the back straight, and suddenly, puff of smoke, looks like the engine just went. So there we go, the Williams driver out of the race. But back to what I was saying about the control electronics. It's the same thing as real life around here. So I had to try and stay off the curbs. So you can see here, I'm slowing off the pace a bit, and I'm trying my absolute best to avoid the curves. But if you look in the top left, we're now 11 seconds behind Albon on lap 31. We've really lost a lot of time. And now lap 33, you can see Gasly behind us, 2.2 behind, and the control electronics nearly on 80% now. So we're trying to survive now this last part of the race and get to the finish and hopefully not have a retirement. So it's all about just holding on here, and we skip all the way to the last lap. You can see the engine now, the control electronics 82%, and Gasly less than a second behind as we head up into turn 3, but I had about enough fuel and DRS to keep him at bay, and at this point it was all about just trying to hold on and get the good exits whenever possible. And ultimately, that would be enough to hold on as we make our way through the final couple of corners. Bottas picks up the win here today in Austria, and we're going to come through for P7, best of the rest, with Gasly right on our tail. So both AlphaTauri cars having a strong race.
A fantastic team effort to secure victory here in the Styrian Alps. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So looking at the final race results, and as you can see, it's a really strong race for us as we score points with both cars. Bottas picks up the win and the fastest lap, Leclerc second, Verstappen third, Hamilton only manages P4 ahead of Sebastian Vettel, and Albon only P6. Sainz and Stroll round out the points, Perez missing out along with Raikkonen, Ocon and Norris. We then move into the driver standings, and after that race we are P6 in the standings, looking pretty decent to be fair, and Gasly only P9. He does gain a few places, so making progress, and we're actually about 25 points ahead of Albon to be fair, so we're looking pretty good. We're splitting both of the Red Bull drivers. Meanwhile out front, Hamilton 34 points clear of Bottas, and then finally in the constructors we are in 4th place and looking pretty comfortable. We've got a nice cushion behind us in McLaren, so there's no real threat from anywhere really. So yeah, before we jump into the laptop, let's look at the rivalry breakdown. You can see we outscored Raikkonen by 2 points again, so that pretty much puts the nail in the coffin, so we will win this rivalry quite easily and pick up the extra acclaim points. And then finally, in terms of the driver acclaim, we're now very, very close to level 8, and hopefully we'll hit that super. Guys, that is it for the race. We're now going to move into some contract negotiations.
The contract renewal window has opened. We can try and renegotiate for a better deal with our current team, or approach someone else.
Now, I'm going to take a decision here because we've got an option to negotiate, and I feel like my performances have been good. You know, we're splitting Verstappen and Albon in the driver standings, and I'm pretty close to Max in fairness. So we are going to try and negotiate with Red Bull and see if we can try and drive for them. They have accepted our approach. You can see on screen, we are going to go for, I think, a low salary demand. They are asking for level 4 on a claim, and we've got level 7, so we're more than able to qualify for it. But here we go then. The demands are being sent, and the answer is yes. Red Bull have accepted, so we are now going to become a Red Bull Racing driver from the next race weekend. So it's goodbye AlphaTauri and hello Red Bull Racing, and I'm very much looking forward to it, guys, because it's a step we had to make. You know, I've been outperforming you know, Albon especially a lot, so I'm looking forward to it, guys. There is a lot more admin we need to take care of before the next race at Britain, but we'll address that at the start of the next episode, along with a classic invitational event. So I'll leave you guys with this bombshell for now as we sign for Red Bull for the next race, my home race at Silverstone. But guys, if you enjoyed this episode, drop me a like and subscribe if you are new for daily F1 content on the channel, and hit that notification bell, guys, to be notified when new content does go live, along with checking out 2 videos on your screen right now. But guys, that is it from me here today, and I'll see you all next time for the British Grand Prix. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.